Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome to this new broadcast, this new podcast called Community Action Talks. We're so happy to be here. We're glad to have you with us tonight. And we will start right away with this week's topic, which is healthcare. I'm joined with Mylise and Louise.
Hi there.
Hi.
So, there are a lot of issues in the world today that experts believe will lead to more food insecurity, more pandemics, increasing weather disaster, and more political instability, all of which will threaten our survival and all of which will be experienced within our lifetimes and those of our children and grandchildren. Like many of you, we believe that these difficulties we are facing right now are about to get a lot worse. How much and when, we're not exactly sure, but we think that things will not be getting better anytime soon. So, the idea of community action talks is to get a conversation going with people in the community to help problem solve, build social bonds, and at the risk of sounding a little alarmist, maybe even lay down the foundational brickwork to community survival.
So, part of this process is to look at what's going on and look at how it can change in the future. Part of the process is to brainstorm ideas and how to either circumvent a situation or fix it. I'm going to make the assumption that if it could be fixed in a standard way, it probably would be. Part of this process is to implement ideas ourselves when we can suggest proposals to the government and regain some sort of control over our futures. If we can work together to strengthen and unify our community, we can also build resilience to weather adversity in the future as individuals and as a community. So, tonight our topic is healthcare. The title is actually Sick to Death, which is a pretty good description.
Yeah.
And a while ago, Louise gave a short talk about healthcare, and we'll start with that. So, over to you, Louise.
Okay. So, hi, everybody. Um, Thanks for being here tonight. In order to talk about the current situation, you need a bit of background, and I'm going to boil it down for you so that you have an idea why we're stuck with a broken system and why the Ontario government is pushing for privatization. Our healthcare system is in crisis, both in Ontario and the rest of Canada, because we have chronically underfunded healthcare. I think the main reason for this is pretty obvious, and that is a real or perceived lack of money. We're told that the solution is to move towards a paid for healthcare system. The push to privatize healthcare really ends up making the rich even richer by inserting businessmen into a process that doesn't and shouldn't need them. We're already given too much power to corporations and self interested politicians. And as we've seen over and over, they're all out for money at all costs. Did privatization work for US healthcare? No. It brought higher costs, less efficiency, less service, more bureaucracy, more waste, and more profiteering than not for profit public programs. We see it doesn't work for them, so why are we following them? I think we're following them because the current system has been crushed and we're afraid, rightly so. I was watching the news this morning on the US elections, and I saw this interview with Michael Moore done about 5 days ago, talking about Dr. Oz and US healthcare. Maybe let's play just a little clip of it.
Thank you. Good to see you again. Thank you for being here. What do you make of that? Because, a lot of people were waiting to see what Oprah would do vis-a-vis Mehmet Oz, and she was critical to him becoming famous. What do you make of her endorsing his opponent instead of him?
Well, one of the times I was on Oprah back in the day, at the end of the show, she said, "Hey, can you stick around for another hour? I'd like you to meet Dr. Oz, and he has a radio show, and would you be willing to do it? And I said, oh yeah, no, sure. I'm always, happy to talk about healthcare and our lack of it. And so I met him. And the first thing he did, he had on that doctor's thing that makes you look like a doctor, I guess. And he reaches in his pocket and pulls out a whole bunch of walnuts and says, here, have some walnuts. I said, whoa, I can't take that out of your pocket and eat it. I'm sorry. I'm not a germaphobe, but we sat down.
Wow.
And we started talking about healthcare. And I said, let me ask you this. Where do you stand on universal healthcare? Because, I mean, I would think you're such a voice now, a large nationwide voice. You could do a lot of good by coming out in favor of the fact that no American should ever lose their home or go bankrupt as a result of medical bills or hospital bills. And he went into this kind of longish thing of how capitalism is better than universal healthcare, and that for-profit medicine and for-profit hospitals get us better hospitals and better healthcare. I said, that's actually not true, because the health insurance companies, they want to approve as little as possible. If your doctor says you should go get this test or whatever, they're all over not approving it because profits go down when they have to pay that out. And he just didn't see it that way. He thought that, I said, really? But let me ask you then, just on a moral level, if somebody gets sick, which is, mostly it's not their fault. So why should they be punished we have more people evicted from their homes because of healthcare bills than for any other reason. And we're the only Western industrialized country that I saw this chart a few months ago, number of families evicted from their homes or, lose their mortgage because of healthcare bills. The UK, 0, France, 0, Canada, 0, United States. And it was like in the hundreds of thousands of people who have been evicted or have had to actually lose their home. Is that the America you want to live in? I said to Dr. Oz, that's not who we are, right? I want to live in America that supports the profit motive.
Wow.
Wow. Are you a doctor? Really?
All right.
Yeah, well, to me that's scary. Okay. Anyways, there's a lot of history to look at if we really want to get into it. But in a nutshell, one of the problems with funding healthcare is that in 1980, Canada cut its corporate tax rate from 36% down to 15%. Okay. And the income tax for the wealthiest went down from 43% to 33%. Also, before 1990, capital gains were taxed at 75%. And today it's around 50%. So what this means is that the wealthy and the corporations pay considerably less taxes. And as a result, we have less tax revenue.
Mm-hmm.
Another issue that affects healthcare spending is that in 2014, the Health Accord expired, okay, the agreement between the provinces and the federal. And without it, federal funds were given to the provinces with no strings attached. That means that we have no accountability to ensure that money earmarked for healthcare is in fact paid to healthcare.
Mm-hmm.
That's a biggie. So, boiled down, we underfund social services today, like healthcare, because we cut tax revenues from the corporations and the wealthy, and we have no accountability to ensure that money earmarked for healthcare is in fact paid to healthcare. Soon, only the wealthier or those whose companies paid for healthcare, as long as you're still working, only those will be able to afford good healthcare, just like in the US. All right. we declare that we are created equal before God and the law, but that's not reality. We're not born with equal privileges and equal talents. We're also not born with equal burdens.
It's true.
With the I know. With the reality that money drives societies, we must ask, are some people more deserving than others? Should someone who has more wealth have more rights? In Canada, when we look at rights and benefits in a relative and moral way, we must conclude that if a basic right or benefit exists for one, it should exist for all.
Mhm.
So, for example, if you're poor and your kid is sick, does your kid deserve the same health care as a wealthy person's kid? Okay. I think we all deserve it. So, anyways, Doug Ford is pushing for privatization. He wants to bring in middlemen who will make money building and running private health care and paying stockholders. That means he's giving us the freedom to pay for our social benefits like health care in exchange for slightly lower taxes.
Mhm.
While this might be good for the wealthy, it will add little to the bank accounts of the middle class on downwards and simply saddle most of us with unexpected debt and uncertainty.
Mhm.
Let's see what Americans think of their healthcare system. So these were comments that I found on Twitter. And, Julia, can you read them? Because they're too small on
Oh,
my screen.
so it says, I don't think it's possible to sum up how effed up
Messed up.
the American system better than this sign. And the sign says, MD services are billed separately from hospital services. Physicians may not have a contractual agreement with your insurance company.
Yeah.
Next slide. The
Oh,
older my
yeah. The older my body gets and the more I have to deal with the nightmarish American healthcare system, the harder it is to understand how older people are the most conservative generation instead of the most radicalized against capitalism.
reminded once again that my American family, colleagues, friends, followers, and their families are beholden to their employers to gain access to basic healthcare services.
So you only have healthcare as long as you have the job. If you don't
Mhm.
have the job, you know.
That's it.
Yeah, well, this one is you always pay something, even with insurance. And this guy is saying that'll be $100 copay, and there's a past due amount. Can you pay that today? No, I'll stay sick, thanks. You know,
It's
uh,
been 3
yeah,
months since I've seen a doctor, which might not seem like much, but as someone with bipolar disorder and chronic illnesses, I'm not at my best. So let me reiterate, American healthcare is a scam. America has a problem, and it's not Beyonce, it's healthcare.
yeah. All right, and uh, okay, this is another thing. I mean, we don't have to read the whole thing. Maybe people can see it on screen, but
Mhm.
when you sell healthcare, it's very easy to defraud people. Overcharging and small print charges are common to private healthcare. So you can walk in and you think you're paying a certain amount only to find out that there's stuff that you didn't understand in the contract, and it's too bad you're on the hook.
And it's small
Yeah.
Yeah,
print, so
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one was American style healthcare. Yeah. This guy's writing, LOL, it was $2,000 for me just to get steroids and Benadryl for an allergic reaction. American healthcare is trash.
Wow.
true story. When we were in Texas with Ezekiel, he got poison ivy, and we went to urgent care to have him seen. They diagnosed him with scabies, and prescribed a cream that was $180 for the cream and like $600 for the visit, which did not work. So then I asked my insurance if I could take him somewhere else again, and we got him to the hospital a second time, and he was diagnosed with another childlike disease. I think it was hand, foot, and
Jeez.
mouth or something.
Yeah.
Prescribed more medication, and then it was not that either. And when we came back to Canada, finally, I had him seen here at the ER, and it was poison IV.
Jeez.
Wow, the insurance bill came to us, and it was like $1,800 later.
Insane.
Yeah. Anyways.
Yeah, I support Medicare for all because I believe that we need to guarantee health care for every American. Nobody should suffer or die in the USA because they can't afford medical treatment. So private health care doesn't guarantee you will get health care, eh? And understand something, in the US, when you have chronic conditions,
Mhm.
diabetes, things like that,
You're
cancers,
uninsurable.
you're uninsurable.
Right.
Mhm.
So
And
yeah, it's my favorite. This is my favorite from a Canadian who wrote, add to this a recent media bit asking Canadians if they'd pay for faster health care. No amount of American propaganda can obscure the fact that public health care is superior in every way to US corporate commercial medicine. The premiers deliberately starved our systems for money.
Yep.
So, Julia,
So,
Miley.
Miley, you want to take that one?
I'm. Let me just get a magnifying glass here. I can't.
I'll do it. For-profit
I can't
healthcare-
see it.
For-profit healthcare insurers and providers are in it to make money. They must make a profit, and they must also pay their shareholders, which means you are paying for their profit and you are paying for their shareholders. They will provide the least amount of services and charge you the most for them, or they will offer a bunch of tests and treatments you don't need and charge your insurance and you for them. Is this what we want in Canada? Well, I don't know about you, but that's not what I want.
No, me neither. No.
Anyway, so what this boils down to is this is a safety net that we rely on, that we need, and it becomes even more important as we begin what I think is going to be a very difficult phase of human existence.
Yeah.
That's cheerful here. A warming planet and other global issues are endangering human beings in ways that we're only beginning to see. So I think
there's been quite a few closures in the area. We know that we've lost most of our walk-in clinics. There is one left. And recently we published a letter to the editor from a lady who had an experience at that clinic. And so I'm just going to bring her in so she can tell us what it was like to go to the walk-in clinic, the only walk-in clinic, and her concern. She's very concerned as well, like us.
Just before we bring her in, I'm just seeing a comment there.
Yes,
Tanya.
I'm going to get it.
You'll get to that
it
after? Okay.
Yes, I'm going to
Okay.
put it on the screen after because it's extremely important. So
Yes, I agree.
Okay, hi Phyllis.
Hi, good evening, everybody.
How are you today?
I'm wonderful, thank you.
So yeah, you sent a letter to the editor last week because you visited our only clinic and you had major concerns.
Absolutely, that's correct, Julia. I sent a letter to your editor along with many other people. I sent it to several politicians, Health Canada, the Seeker, Seaway News, City of Cornwall, Ontario Health. I got it out there to a lot of people.
So what happened exactly? Tell us what was your experience at the clinic?
Okay, so the day that I went to the clinic a couple of weeks ago, it was a morning that was only 6 degrees out, so it was very cold. I left my house about 8 in the morning. The clinic opens at 9, thinking, I'll get there an hour before. So once I arrived, there was already 7 or 8 people standing outside of the clinic lined up. So I thought, okay, well, I'm going to have to join this line, which was very upsetting to me because that's almost an hour standing in 6-degree weather, and I have COPD and severe asthma. So it's very difficult for me to just stand on a normal good day. anyways, I bared with it and I stood in line like everybody else. And a couple of arguments broke out in line. Some men started arguing. So it was an uncomfortable situation for a lot of us, and it was freezing. Anyways, the doors finally opened, 50 minutes later. And we were all kind of huddled inside, thank God, because it was so cold. However, we just ended up in another line. And by this time, it was about 9 o'clock. They opened the doors right on time. And at that point, I counted 26 people in line.
Wow.
The wonderful lady, the receptionist there, Charlene, she's been there for years, and she's so patient and so wonderful. She's answering the phone, ringing every 15 seconds, trying to register everybody that's standing in line. I think I got registered at about 20 to 10. And I was number 8 or 9, and I was told that the doctor wasn't in yet and it would be several hours. So I can either sit and wait or leave and come back. So I chose to leave, and I said, I'll come back around 12. So you got to keep in mind, I've left my house at 8 o'clock in the morning, and I left and went back at 12:30 and still waited another hour before my name was called. I was literally with the doctor for 4 minutes.
Wow.
4 minutes. So this whole experience took me the whole day to get a 4-minute appointment with this doctor. I think the short-term goals, I think for me personally, and a lot of people here in Cornwall, I think what we want to see long-term is obviously another clinic to open up. But that's long-term. It's not going to happen right away. I think short-term, what's very, very crucial and important right now with this only clinic that we have is some kind of a waiting area for people to sit where it would be warm to wait before the clinic opens up. I mean, standing outside in the dead of winter is just, it's almost cruel in my mind. And I think this lady, Charlene, needs some help. I've suggested for years that they get part-time help for her, even just someone to man the phones while she's registering patients, just something, I mean, I think that's the two short-term goals that I would love to see tended to. Help for this receptionist and somewhere for people to wait to get in.
Yeah. Well, hopefully there's some people listening that are in higher places than us and that can help. But I mean, I don't think it's unreasonable to ask for, like she was saying, the poor lady, the phone is ringing off the hook, obviously, because, everybody wants in. And let's be clear, by the time it's 9:30, probably all the spots are taken already. Because,
That's right. At 10:30, 11 o'clock, she's telling people, I have no more spots for today. I'm sorry, I can't help you.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So anyways, thank you for coming and relating that to us. Maybe there's some people that are listening that can place a bug in the ears of the right people. And we'll also have a segment a little later on about all the resources locally that we can tap in when there's no help available.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for allowing me to tell my story. And I have been getting answers from some of the people, and I'm feeling positive that something will get done.
Well, before you
Good.
leave, Phyllis, has anybody given you an answer that helps anything?
Well, I'll tell you, I wouldn't say the word helps, Louise, but it's given me a little bit of encouragement in the sense that a nice gentleman at the City of Cornwall put me in touch with 2 other members of Parliament that said that may be able to help.
Okay.
I was also told, I was also given some good advice from Sarah and Justin, the two new politicians that were recently voted in. I went directly to them, and they've said that they will assist by giving me some contacts and try to get this out there a little bit more. So I don't think I get any final answers, Louise, or anything encouraging, just people saying that there is an issue and we're not going to let it go. However, I did find out this clinic is private. It's not, I don't think it's a government run clinic.
The Pitt Street Clinic?
Yeah. Is it a government run clinic? Someone's telling me it's privately owned.
It wouldn't
don't
surprise
know.
me because, one of the reasons why the other 2 clinics have folded is because the government funding was pulled for the walk-in.
Right. So
Yeah,
it would make
so-
sense that this
Insane.
Pitt Street Clinic is private, I think. We need to
It's
find
possible.
out because I don't know.
We can look into that.
Well, Phyllis, listen, if you hear anything, let us know. Or, and if you stay on for the conversation and you
I'm
have
absolutely staying on for the rest of the conversation. Thank you. It's very
Okay, and
interesting.
if there's other
keep
stuff,
me-
Yeah.
Keep me informed too if you ladies ever start any kind of picketing or any kind of protest. I'm your leader.
Well,
Okay.
part of the discussion that we are going to have tonight, hopefully, is, you know, with people, whether it's through chat or people that come on, what can we do?
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
both conventional and unconventionally. Are there,
Mhm.
you know, um,
Yep.
yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right.
Good
Thanks,
night.
Phyllis.
Good night. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really tricky because right now, you know, you're looking at our ER. They're telling us not to go at the ER unless you
Mhm.
really have an emergency because they are overwhelmed with their own stuff, right?
Yeah.
And so you got the sniffles. What are you gonna do? Like, you know, you go to the clinic, and then there's also like there's an issue with the clinic, the Pitt Street Clinic. I hate to say it, but you know, my husband went there to get some care and he did not get the right care. So there's we need more. Like, where do you go? What do you do? Where do you
Well,
go? You don't want
also,
to clog
yeah,
you don't want to
I
clog
think
the
also
artery.
the idea of having these clinics was to, you know, was for people who either didn't have doctors or whose doctors were busy. It was to have a place that you could go so you didn't end up in the emergency
Well,
department
and
waiting.
if you have an emergency, but it's not too urgent for the ER, like it's not so urgent that you need ER, but you can't get an appointment with your doctor for 2 weeks, then you know you have the walk-in clinic. Like,
Yep.
but anyway,
It's an untenable situation. It's ridiculous, and what it does is it on top of everything else, it scares people. It scares people. It's, you know, how do you how do you, you know, manage things these days, knowing that, like, I don't have a doctor anymore, and neither does my
No,
niece.
nope, me neither.
And you know, what do you do? There's no place to go.
so if I can say, for me, what was a savior over the last little while is the virtual care that you can get. So there's since the pandemic, there's several services that have popped left, right, and center that you can go online either on a computer or on an app,
Mhm.
and it's covered by Ontario Health, by OHIP, and you can just see a doctor virtually. So to me, that was a saving
Yeah.
grace.
Well, I also had that. You know, at the beginning of the pandemic, when everything was shut, I ended up with shingles for the second time,
Oh
and I
my.
was really sick with it this time, and I didn't know at the beginning. So I ended up talking to someone on, you know, Tulip Health, which is where I went. We'll put this in the resources later.
Yes.
Mhm.
And you know, I was able to actually talk to a doctor pretty quickly, and you know, and it was my brother who said, well, you know, you got the same symptoms you had the last time. And I just hadn't thought about it because it, you know, shingles has a tendency to come on like aches and pains or whatever.
Mhm.
Anyways, so I was able to talk to a doctor, tell her what the symptoms were. I sent pictures, okay, of the little spots that I had, blah blah. And so she was able to give me pain medicine and do follow up. And that was like, thank God, or I would have been in emergency because I was
Yeah.
in agony.
I
Agony.
know. Like I went hiking, I got poison ivy, and I did the same
Remember?
thing. So I you know, I set up the appointment on my phone. I took a picture, sent it to her. She saw it, knew it was poison ivy right away, prescribed some medication, and that was it, you know. But I mean, it's good because at least I feel, because I would not go to the emergency for that. Like, you know, I would
No.
feel like I'm taking the space of somebody who really needs care. Like, I would not go to the ER for sniffles or a cough, or like, you know, to
I've
me that
I've I've been to
personally
the
that
ER. I went to the ER when I broke my leg because obviously you have to. When I got cat scratch fever, and I got admitted for 6 days on double dose IV. But again, sniffles, sore throat, things like that. I know a lot of people do go though, and that's crazy.
Well,
Clogging it.
and at this point, right now, the way the healthcare system is, we can't.
No, you can't.
Just a question. Is it, do you have the link so that people, if they want to come on and talk, they can?
No, because we said we were not doing that
Oh,
right
we're
now.
not doing that right away.
No, they
Okay.
they can text, they can send the
Okay.
messages and we'll place them on the screen, but I'm not risking that again,
No.
not without being vetted.
No.
Not after the fiasco last time.
Yeah.
But I want to put this comment on the screen, which is really sad. I'm like, it breaks my heart to read stuff like that. But Tanya said, my younger brother was on a waiting list to help with his mental health and he did not make it.
No.
He committed suicide before getting any help. Our system is broken. It is.
Yeah.
It's funny because we had a show a couple of weeks ago with the boys from the mental health
Stephen and Ivan.
yeah, Canadian Mental Health Association anyways.
Mhm.
And we were talking about that. We were talking about how, you know, we have so many resources for everyone, for health, for mental health, and there's so much awareness being done, but still we still don't know where to go and there's still waiting lists. Like I called today, my child got the intake for the mental health on McConnell there, and she told me there's like a 7-month wait.
Yeah.
7-month wait.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So yes, our system is definitely broken.
Well, I know Recovery Cornwall that is on Sydney. I think they have counselors in there too, and you can actually just walk in there and get help. I don't know if it's just if you've got an addiction, but I know you can walk in those doors and get help right away.
Yeah, but you know, some of this stuff is, you know, part of the problem with that's when you're in absolute crisis.
Mhm.
Part of the problem with mental health is that you know, you need a therapist or a psychologist or whatever to talk to, you know,
Regularly.
regularly. You need, you know, medication with tweaks regularly.
Yeah.
You know, it's not something that, and you also just don't want to wait until somebody is in absolute crisis where they're flipped, okay?
Mhm.
Because it's just that much harder to come back from.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You're right.
Absolutely. Okay, so I will go on to the survey that we had published recently,
Right.
and that was talking about some of the issues with healthcare. So we know that clinics are closing, doctors are retiring. There's a people are saying, okay, well, whoops, wrong slide.
Yeah.
People are saying that doctors are retiring, but at the same time, other people were commenting that they're not really retiring. They're retiring because it's taxing mentally,
Yeah.
and there's not enough money for them to want to stay.
And
No.
there's a lot of red tape and hoops that they've got to jump through apparently too.
See that I wish that we had had a doctor because who would come on, even if it was voice disguised and whatever. I'd love to find out. I know that there are inside things that are going on that are making it difficult for them to practice the way they want.
Yeah.
I just don't know what they are. I don't know enough about it.
Yeah, and there's also like when people immigrate from other countries and they're doctors over there and they want to
Yeah.
practice here, there's also the same kind of thing going on where it's like somebody, I can't remember who I was talking to. I think it was in one of our meetings where somebody was saying, well, maybe they should just do underground care. Like start doing underground care,
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah,
during
yeah.
the prohibition. Well, it'll be doctors
Well,
doing
it was we were talking about it, and I know I was talking with you, and I think with Mylise, and we were saying that, you know, Maybe they can practice as holistic therapists, something
Yeah.
like this, you know. Yeah,
Yeah.
again, the problem there is that they can't, until they're licensed, they can't prescribe, which is, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, how long does it take to get a license? I think they have to take a equivalency test or something.
Well, it's not
Yeah, but
that.
it's more than that.
Yeah.
I think they have to shadow a doctor, a practicing doctor, for like a certain amount of years
Oh
before they
my.
can actually practice. So,
I mean, I don't understand why they can't, if you have a doctor from another country, if they as long as they can speak English and
Mhm.
hopefully French well enough, at least English, I mean, we should, get them in and have them come into the existing medical practices or start a new walk-in clinic with a supervising, a doctor or two who are supervising. I
mhm.
mean, you know, or I don't know.
It's been like that for a long time because my uncle, he's 93 now. He's been long retired in England. But when he was 47, he was considering moving here when we moved. And he had a practice with 4 doctors working under him. And in order to be able to practice here, like you said, he would have to shadow a doctor and go through all kinds of studies and stuff again. And he said he was too old to start all that again at that point. So that's, kind of how it was then. I'm sure it's no better now.
Mhm. Well, anyways, hopefully, this is a starting point of the discussion, and hopefully, we can at some point in the near future get a doctor
Yeah.
on the show with us, and who can explain all this stuff. But let's see what the Blue Ivy Group survey had to
Mhm.
say about.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, they had professionals planning to leave healthcare. There's a lot of them, eh?
Mhm.
25% of Ontario healthcare workers, doctors, nurses, okay, plan to leave in less than 1 year. That's already a system that's crazy stressed, okay?
Yeah.
22% plan to leave in a year and 28% in 2 years. 44% of Ontario healthcare workers agree that their workplace feels highly toxic.
Mhm.
And 92% of Ontario healthcare workers call the nurse shortage the most dangerous to patients, followed by shortages of physicians and surgeons. You know,
Yeah, I mean,
that's
it's we're already seeing closures of emergency rooms all
Mhm.
across the province because of shortages. Add to that, like, being ill, people who are getting sick. Um, they have to close if if everybody's out with COVID, they have to close ER.
Yeah.
And then 28% of the staff is planning to leave already, again, in the next 2 years. Then you're left
Yeah,
with a
who's gonna
highly dysfunctional system.
yeah, because we don't have anyone probably to replace them, so.
Yeah.
that's So why do they want to leave? Well, a lot of them it's stress levels, and we've seen this over and over and over. They've been talking throughout the pandemic. It's been, very, very hard.
Yep.
There's a big impact on their health and well-being. Their work-life balance is messed up. They have very heavy workloads. The compensation is not very good. So they say that 23% of Canadian healthcare workers said their income has decreased a great deal or decreased in the past year, which is insane. And there's a lack of management support.
I have a comment here. So, we are now pretty aware and scared enough of the brokenness. I am just really wanting to know if there is light at the end of this pretty dark tunnel at this point. This kind of situation can also bring about enough of not so ethical doctors getting in the desperate situation. I am glad the rules are still stringent. Humans are just too vulnerable when they are sick.
True.
Yeah, absolutely. I absolutely agree with that. And this is where we're headed. If you become desperate, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
I mean, are you going to sit at home and by yourself and flip out? You'll go see people that may not be
Qualified.
qualified.
You might
Yeah.
go see a doctor of the prohibition era.
Well, I mean, we'll talk. There are resources that are being brought in that are, I believe, partially private. Okay, like
Some of them are, but one thing that I want to touch on is how imperative it is for us to um, be super involved in your own healthcare nowadays, as opposed to, I remember growing up, we all had a family doctor, and your doctor called you to book your appointment, your yearly physical, to make sure
yeah,
that you were, so you really felt like you had somebody looking after you,
Mhm.
because you did. But now you really have to be proactive.
yeah,
Anyways,
Well,
very
sometimes you've got to go to the doctor and explain to them what they need to do for you. That's how proactive you've got to be.
almost.
Yeah.
Okay, back to the survey.
Hmm.
yeah. So most Ontario healthcare workers do not believe in a two-tier system. Asked about their prediction for the future of healthcare in Canada, only 7% said that we will need to implement a two-tier system to survive. So that means 93% did not feel that we need a two-tier system.
So
I,
explain to me a two-tier system.
Hmm.
well,
Exactly.
a two-tier system is what they call public-private, so that they bring in a certain amount of, private hospitals or private practices, and when this is my understanding, okay, when the public system, like, if the public system can't handle it, then you're sent over to the private system, although the public system will pay. That's
Okay.
that's
Okay.
that's well, that's what they call public private. I don't know if that's exactly two tier, but I think that it's sort of like that. There's two tier is also just, private, where you're privately insured, and you have public.
Mhm.
The problem when you're trying to do a two-tier system is that the private side charges a lot more than the public
Public side.
system does. Okay,
Mhm.
and so if you're turning around, you're saying, okay, well, I want to go in for a hip replacement. I'm going to go into um, the private side. What might cost $20,000 publicly is going to cost double, triple, quadruple on the public side, and that's going to be billed to
To the government.
the government. You know what I mean? Which to me is just wasteful.
Mhm.
Essentially, if they could turn around and they put the money that they should put in uh, for you know um, public health care, we would all be better off.
Mhm.
But it requires that they have to manage their money differently, and they have to, uh, this part of this is taxation. They have to
So
tax people that are making a lot of money.
so just to give people an idea, because I think that Canadians don't grasp exactly what it means to have a private system. They don't kind of know what the
No.
number is. Like, they don't realize what the disparity is. So I'm just going to give an anecdotal little tidbit of information that
Yeah,
happened to
do it.
me. So when my daughter was born, um, my husband was applying for immigration, and he was in Messina. So every weekend I would visit Messina, and I would spend the weekend there, and I would come back here. Anyways, my water broke when I was in Messina. So I
Wow.
went to the Messina Memorial Hospital over there, obviously, because I was in labor.
Mhm.
And I went to the emergency room, and the doctor saw me there. The visit with the doctor was about 10 minutes long. He just examined me. and then they just concurred to see what they were going to do with me. They didn't know what they were going to do with me. So they needed a hospital that had neonatal because she was premature. So they were calling Montreal, they was calling Ottawa, and then they were calling Syracuse because they didn't know where there would be room. Finally, they found room in Montreal. Thank God. They sent me by ambulance to Montreal. By the time that hour was done, that I was in the ER and then transported to Montreal, my bill was $3,000 US
Wow.
for that examination, and that's it, right? So, anyways, so I was in Montreal. I was there. I stayed there. I had a C-section over there, and it was in Quebec. So when I came back to Ontario, they sent me the bill to send to Ontario. Well, my C-section costed me $686. That's what the bill was, $686.
Right.
That same C-section in the United States in Syracuse would have been over $25,000.
Yep.
Wow.
Yes,
So,
and don't forget one thing. If your kid had to go to neonatal,
yeah,
you'd have another bill
of
for
course.
the kid.
Yes.
Okay. So
Yeah, she was in neonatal for 3 weeks.
I think one of the takeaways here is not only is it very expensive because they have to pay everybody because they're taking profit,
Mhm.
but the thing is that I've just lost my train of thought. There you go. Jeez. It'll come back to me.
Yeah.
So
No, it's
so
extremely expensive.
basically, somebody in the States having that C-section is going to have to pay that, what, out of their pocket?
Their insurance is going to be
And
paying
if
it
they
if they have insurance.
and if
I
they
know what I
don't
was
have
going to say.
insurance,
Yes, their insurance will pay, but depending on the level of insurance that you have
Mhm.
have a certain amount that you have to pay, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
It's
there's
sort of like car insurance. You've got a
a
deductible,
deductible, yeah.
and then they will pay only so much, and then you're stuck with it. The bills are insane, even with insurance,
Yeah.
and yeah.
I wanted to try to find the
Excuse me.
the post I had seen today about health insurance. I didn't tabulate it, so I don't see it. Anyways. Okay. So if you have any questions or suggestions or want to contribute to the conversation, please put it on the comment section. I'm going to go back to, did I have more slides on the survey? Oh, I have, Phyllis says, all the stories about healthcare, big time costs in the US for sure makes me even more. No,
More
I
sure.
can't
No
even
to
talk
private.
anymore.
Makes me even. I can read. Makes me even more sure. No to private healthcare in Canada. Me too.
Yeah.
You know.
So how certain are you that that's where we're heading?
I'm very certain. I mean, it's being pitched constantly as the answer, and it will be. We'll end up with it unless we, kind of take action. So I think, as Phyllis was saying, pick it. You know, I mean, I've tried. I've written. Yes, many in power want it. They want it. It's money. The deal is if they can shove like healthcare into the private sector, they don't really have to deal with a lot of it. They want to build infrastructure. They want stuff that makes money, and I understand that. But when you're making, they want to make money from certain things. But we're still going to end up being, the wealthy will continue to get wealthier and the less wealthy will continue to get poorer in that process.
So there already are some private clinics. I found out.
Yes.
I didn't even know that, but I found out recently that there's actually one clinic in Ottawa called, what is it called? Exec
Exact.
Health.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the name kind of
Says it.
says it, right? It kind of means that if you're an executive, you can
Yeah.
afford this health.
At
um,
at 3,500 yearly membership fee, yeah, you'd have to be an executive.
yeah, and you know, it's kind of appealing. Like I would do it if I had the money. Like
Mhm,
they promise you that you will be seen the same day or the day after if there's no room the same day. There's like
mhm.
5 family physicians that are right there for you at your service anytime you need it. And if you're you and your husband, or if you're a couple, you the two people in the couple register for this exec health, then the kids are free, so you all have family physicians for, like, you know, I'm still waiting, my kids are still waiting for family physician. Like, it's been
Did you go
5 years on the list and
Yeah, did you go
still
through
waiting.
that Healthcare
Uh-huh.
Connect? Yeah,
Yeah.
I have. I'm still waiting too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I mean, I'd like to sort of, you know, see a bit more like I think we should talk more about some of the stuff that's going on with the doctors and nurses. I'd also like to discuss, and I wish people would join in, what we as a community can do
Oh,
to make things a bit better for everybody here.
Miley, you want to read that one?
okay, so Jane McMillan. I had
McLaren,
Laren.
McLaren. Okay. Wait a minute. Do you really want me to read this?
yeah, go for it.
All right. So I had surgery out of province once. It was covered under OHIP. The morning of the surgery, one of the documents I signed was one listing the cost of everything that would be involved in my care. The amount was staggering. I remember being terrified that I would end up having to pay for this. The surgery went well, OHIP covered it. But when you see what the costs actually are, it really makes you pause and think how fortunate we actually are.
And that's that. If it was out of province, was it out of country? Because even out of province is not comparable to the states.
Yeah, no, out of yeah,
Took me almost 3 years to get a family doctor using Healthcare Connect.
yeah.
Yeah, they claim they have an 88% placement
Mhm.
on Healthcare Connect, but after how much time? Like 88% of, you know, 10-year.
Yeah.
Well, again, part of the problem right now is you're sort of, you still got a void of what do you do if you don't have a doctor? I mean, you know, there's certain situations where, uh, you're not telehealth kind of material, and you're not ER material. You need a doctor.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, you do. Yeah, we've been fortunate all this time, Louise, because we've had a doctor, but now it's a panic.
I listen. When I found out that my doctor was downsizing, I'm not sleeping the same. I'm worried about it.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, as we get older.
Yeah. I know. Not even like that. Just older. It's
Yeah.
frightening to think that you become a senior and like ah maybe
Yeah.
you could. Anyways, it's just like
Yeah, well, which is why I'm saying, you got to really take the bull by the horns, and you got to do more than ever. You got to do everything you can to, you know,
Well, listen.
take
I'm
care of yourself.
trying. I'm putting myself on wait lists and stuff like that.
Mhm.
I called Healthcare Connect. They never called me back to walk me through it because I thought maybe that would help.
Mm.
Well, they called me back. They did.
Oh,
I
they
got a
did?
call back. Yeah, I got a call back, but they
Okay.
cannot do anything until you've actually don't have a doctor. And our doctor is there till December 31st. So they said they can't even start anything until our doctor
That's
is
stupid.
completely gone. So we're gonna have no
Oh,
doctor.
that's
Instead of
stupid. That's just stupid. We already
it
know
is.
that. Yeah. That's dumb.
Instead of being able to prepare and get ready, we're going to have no doctor for how
Well,
long?
and that's the thing, you have a reactive system, not a proactive system. So,
Mhm.
Well, and I think a system that maybe is overburdened with bureaucracy.
Yeah.
I think that's part of it.
I wonder if it's the same in Ottawa. You know,
What do you mean?
like, do they have a shortage of family doctors in bigger cities as well? Is it
Yeah.
like still? It's across, yeah.
Yeah, I was talking to a doctor's secretary today, and it's apparently everywhere. It's not just here.
No, it's everywhere, and
Mhm.
yeah, the waiting lists are ridiculously long, as Michael is saying.
Yeah.
Insane.
Yeah.
you know,
And
and ultimately, what happens is if you're waiting, I know somebody, a woman that lives nearby who, probably because of the pandemic, waited, only to find out that she had breast cancer stage 4. Hi, you have it. You're getting a double
Oh,
mastectomy. I mean, there's like, can you imagine? Like, could have
but
been
that's but
saved.
that's that yeah, no, that's the thing too, the time frame, like, I need ultrasound right now. So I've seen somebody on telehealth, and they prescribe, because these people that see you virtually, they can prescribe pretty much any test, and they
okay.
can refer you to specialists if you need to. It's super handy.
Hmm.
But she referred me for an ultrasound, and she sent it to the Cornwall hospital, and then I called the hospital to see if they had received my referral, and she said, yeah, but it's going to be months before we can give you an ultrasound. Like, don't expect it to come, like, you know
And
this month.
ultrasound is not really a very super sophisticated test.
Right.
No.
So I ended up going to my family doctor. Thank God I still have one. But the reason I had seen telehealth is because I was worried and I wanted this done like as soon as possible. And my doctor was not available for like 3 weeks. So finally, I went to see 3 weeks later my doctor, and then he referred me to a private ultrasound clinic that was able to do it, like, or is able to do it, like, at the end of the month. I'm going to get the ultrasound, but otherwise in Cornwall, she told me it's going to be months before you see someone.
So basically, you're going to you're going to a private ultrasound clinic, but you don't have to pay that out of your pocket.
No.
Okay, yeah. See, that's kind of what I always.
It's
when
kind of
I
like
hear-
the I think the X-ray clinic here in the at the clinic at the clinic here,
McConnell.
McConnell Clinic. So they have like an X-ray.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's still covered by. But I
OHIP
think
covers it because
right.
that's my biggest worry too. Is when I hear private, like I'd have to pay for it out of my pocket, but it's not
No.
so.
No.
Okay.
No. Anyways,
one of the things that I'd like we're not going to stay on long, but I think that we need to kind of discuss, or at least put it out there. We'd like to do these community action talks so that we can try to tackle certain issues as a community.
Mhm.
Which means pinpointing what the problems are and then brainstorming ideas. So in this situation, it would be we would like to do this in person, by the way, and invite the public to a venue in person. We'll see how that goes. But it would be nice to be able to talk with people about what can we do. I mean, we know that doctors and nurses, they're overworked, they're fed up, and you can't blame them.
No.
And in the meantime, we need to be able to take care of ourselves a little bit.
yeah, like,
So how do we do it? I mean, I'm trying to find my notes there because I.
So Jane says another issue is lack of doctors graduating and a decrease of those that are going into family practice. You can't resolve a doctor shortage locally if there is a doctor shortage, period.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah, that is true.
yeah.
And how do you, how do you resolve that? Like, how do you?
Well, I mean, there's. I think that our resources are going to be tight for a while, eh? So, I mean, it's things that we can discuss as a community, really, and that are open for discussion are things like what resources do we have, and we will put them up. How can you use them the most effectively? Uh, uh, what about how do we help people who are older, who are more frail to stay in their homes? And that literally is, what is that noise?
It's a motorcycle going by outside.
Okay, okay,
You forget I live on 4th Street and it's a racetrack. here.
okay.
Yeah.
So, if you've got elderly people nearby, are there things that you can do, including organizing to check in on them, having somebody who will call, driving them to an appointment? Are there things that you can do? Uh, um, okay. Are there things that we can do to help doctors take on more patients, presuming that the government would pay them? So, we're talking about things like using telehealth and stuff like that. Um, instead of sitting in a doctor's office, even.
Mhm.
So having it kind of maybe go symptom checker, telehealth, doctor, and then hospital, or
Well, you see, one interesting concept that is happening right now. So at the Walmart, there used to be a walk-in clinic at a Walmart.
Right.
They closed. Now it is something called From Here to There Concierge. Basically, so there's some stuff that you're limited when you do a virtual consult with a doctor. There's limitations to that. Obviously, you can't listen to
Mhm.
your heart, it can't listen to your breathing. So
yeah,
sometimes you need to see someone face to face. So this clinic offers you a nurse, so it's a nurse that sees you,
mhm,
and then they can do like blood work. They can do
mhm,
swabs if you need a swab. They can do like, there's a
yeah,
variety of things that they
yeah,
can do, and then they go and discuss your case with the doctor on a telehealth. So you're with the nurse and the doctor, and you know
Hmm.
so that's one step further than the telehealth, but not quite the walk-in clinic,
no,
so it's
well,
kind of like in between, but it has its place.
listen, it's a very, very good alternative, in fact, when you think
Absolutely.
about it. But
Mhm.
if we have one, we need like quite a few
20.
more.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know about 20, but if you have a nurse or a nurse practitioner who's able to run this, and then conference with the doctor on video, uh, why not?
This is a very, very good point, and I wrote an
Mhm,
editorial about this months ago, about how you know even doctors are like way too quick to prescribe medication rather
Yep.
than change your lifestyle sometimes. But
Yep.
yeah, educating people on learning to live healthier lives and alternatives to healing is
A very good point.
It is an excellent point. The other thing is, again, if we talk about doing this as a community, what's to stop us from organizing things to teach people? I'm talking within the community. I mean, it's not just all on us, but as a group, teaching people to eat properly, organizing so that people will do exercises
Mhm.
together, which is considerably more motivating than doing them
Mhm.
alone.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um, you know, w- uh, so that you help people to empower themselves. Why not?
Absolutely. And I think that's a good point. I think that the next few years are going to be quite challenging for many different reasons. Like, we'll tackle some of those in future talks. But I think community is going to take a whole new meaning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, it's going to have to.
Yeah.
It's going to. We've got so much. I mean, we're talking healthcare tonight, but we know that we have so many issues that we're trying to deal with. Oh, hang on.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would
So
certainly be willing to help out in a community group that helps people to stay healthy. Great.
I
We might call on you.
Yeah.
well, Tanya, yes, and again, maybe we'll form some of our own groups and get people involved.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That would be terrific. Both physical and mental health. Absolute. Oh,
Exactly.
sorry. Tanya is saying both physical and mental health.
Yeah.
And I agree. And I think that if you're doing things as a community, as groups, your mental health is better, right?
Yeah.
In the process.
Yeah.
Well, I know whenever the Canadian Mental Health organized the walks down by Lamar Park, it was 8 weeks of walking. That was awesome for mental health.
Yeah.
And motivating too, because a group of us got together to do it, more so than going by yourself. So
Yeah. But
definitely.
it needs to go further, I think, personally. I think we need to check up on one another. We need to push one another. We need
Yeah.
to
Motivate one another.
Yeah.
But it can't. But the deal is it can't be limited to a couple of friends. I mean, it's nice to do things as friends,
Mhm.
but you need to get people involved who might not normally get involved. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I'm not just talking about because they're shy or because they have a mental health issue. I'm just talking in general.
Mhm.
We spend way too much time stuck behind our computers, right? And not enough time doing things together.
Yeah.
As groups.
Let's picture this. Let's say you had a group of 7 friends, okay? And those 7 friends get together and make one healthy meal a week for 7. And then you just go and, you
Yeah.
got your
Keep
meals planned for the week. It's all healthy and balanced, and yeah, could be a way to stay healthy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I just
I have to tell you a quick story though. Talking about getting away from our computers. Many years ago, I used to walk with this girl, and that was our problem. Always in front of the computer, always in front of the computer. So when it was time for us to go for a walk, I would get a message through my computer saying, "Back away from that keyboard now. I'm at the front door waiting for you." I used to think that was cute because again, we're so stuck behind our computers anymore. We
Yeah.
need that motivation.
Yeah.
hang on. I've got a comment there from Jane. Yeah, you mean like now, Louise? Yes, stuck behind our computers. Yes, but it's true. We're stuck. I mean, today in preparation for this, and we prepared quite a bit for this talk tonight, and hours and hours and hours. It would have been nice to be able to have a public meeting and sit down and go, okay, well, what are the problems, and how can we solve it? I mean, in some of our private discussions, we've talked about, what happens if we don't have an ambulance service that works? Do we take people to the hospital
Because
ourselves?
that's another real problem.
Yeah, it's all
There's
real.
shortage of paramedics as well. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, there's reports that sometimes, like, not so much here, but I mean, I heard that in Toronto, it's like, 90 minutes for an ambulance to show up. Like, you can die like 90 times in 90
Yeah.
minutes.
Yeah.
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 Anyway, so I mean, but there's other stuff like, I'm very interested in seeing, like, if we have a limited number of doctors for the next while, what can we do to help them take on more patients?
Which is why
Okay.
we need to have a doctor on the show. so they can tell
Exactly.
us.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to note that. Get doctor. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if anybody listening has any ideas or knows any doctors, get in touch.
yeah, please do. Or if you are a doctor, that would be, we'd love to hear from you. And
Yep.
you don't have to show your face or your name, you know.
Yep. You can
You can even muffle your voice if you want.
We can change it.
just
There are
put a
things
mask.
to use.
Yeah.
Julia.
Sorry.
Yeah. Okay. Jane is into the
Our
comments.
local hospital is often home to new Canadians who are MDs in their country of origin. I don't think we recognize that enough. These doctors provide a lot of care and a lot of help to our local healthcare system. However, once that residency is completed, they move on. Why? How can we encourage these physicians to call Cornwall home instead of calling it a temporary location? Yeah, it's a stepping stone. It seems like,
True.
you know, even family doctors, they come here for 5 years and then they move. Like, it's a
Mhm.
problem. Because, you know, stability is important. Like, I'm so fortunate my doctor took me with him. Like, I was like you, Louise, begging, you know, please take me with you.
Listen, I'm ready to I'm ready to make adoption papers, you know. And write out everything that's great about me, and this is why you should take me. But
Oh my goodness.
I'm kidding.
Yeah.
But you know,
Oh no, but no, you're not though. You're not kidding.
no, I'm not
No.
completely kidding. I'm not
Hey,
completely
you
kidding.
know, on another note, steps that I have taken to try to get back from the computer or away from the computer is I bought a standing desk.
A
So
what?
now a
Oh,
standing
that's
desk.
right.
So
That's
now I have
right.
a standing desk, and under my desk, you can't see it right now, but I have a stepping little thing. So I step.
That's
Get
good.
some
That's
steps
good.
in. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I'd rather hang with a bunch of people and do my steps.
But
But you know,
you're still at your computer, Julia.
Yeah, but at least I'm moving.
Yeah, you're true.
Yeah.
let's talk about some of the things that it would be nice to put questions out there to people, and then we can show some of our resources as well, because we've done a compilation.
Yep.
But you know, I would ask this to the public, whether you're here right now or you watch this later on. What do you think we could do? How could we entice doctors or nurses? Apparently, we didn't show all those slides, the Blue Ivy survey.
Oh, let me
But yeah,
re-put it on.
yeah. Which medical practitioner shortages present the most danger to patients? And 89% said nurses, after followed by 65% said physicians, and then after that it's surgeons, radiologists, and internal medicine practitioners. So nurses are super important, okay? And we need to be able to attract them. Nurses negotiate through a lot of negativity at work. So 50% of nurses rated their financial compensation as very poor or poor, and only 26% of doctors said the same thing. 72% of nurses feel that their pay is not commensurate with the importance of their role to society, versus 48% of doctors. That's high in both categories. Okay, that's amazing. 52, and I think I'm just going to say, I think that the pandemic and a lot of the stuff that they were dealing with, and the perception was not helpful.
No.
52% of nurses rate the recognition for the work they do as very poor or poor. And that's pathetic, because if you've ever been in a hospital or anywhere where you're cared for by a nurse, yeah, nurses are the backbone of any hospital. And they are. I've had surgery a few times, and it's like, thank God for the nurses.
Yeah, you never see the doctor, you just see the nurse.
Usually, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
66% of nurses say that they're constantly stressed about the state of healthcare and its impact on them. 59% of doctors. So there's and that actually would be nice to discuss with nurses, because I think that some of these issues are actually fairly complex, and there might be things that we can do, and that their admins could do, and so on, to make situations more supportive of them. 47% of nurses say their access to mentors is very poor or poor, which is too bad, because if you want to improve yourself and you have no options, that's a drag. And asked to rate their career path and trajectory, 26% of nurses rated it as very poor to poor. Pas fort.
Mhm.
So what's the fix? So here are some of their answers, okay? Because this survey, they were asking healthcare workers, eh?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So they said pay higher wages to keep pace with inflation, which makes sense.
Yep.
Retention bonuses, okay. Allow flexible hours and better work-life balance to avoid burnout, that seems to be something that maybe they could do without, like now. I don't know, but I'm not sure. I don't know the problems of,
Yeah, we need to
I
have nurses
yeah,
on the
Yeah,
show
we
as
need
well.
a doctor
yeah.
and a nurse. Yeah.
Nurses and somebody from, who can address this, even somebody from the hospital maybe. They want better benefits. They want greater admin support, and they're saying that more graduates and interns would be also part of the answer, which is sort of, yeah. Do you want to read it?
So, limits on care that medical professionals can give currently. 96% of healthcare workers cite high moderate frustration from patients towards healthcare providers. 47% of nurses reported a very poor amount of time that they spend with each patient versus 26% of doctors. And 39% of Canadian healthcare workers said that they spend 26 to 50% of their time on administrative functions as opposed to medical. So that's a big deal.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
terrible.
I know that I had listened to a nurse talking about this on, I can't remember where, but she was saying that, that they want to do their job, they want to do it properly, but they're so rushed that they can't, and they know that they're not giving the care that they should be giving, and that's very stressful, and that makes complete sense to me. If you're
Yeah.
a caregiver and you can't do it properly, that must be horrific. And the amount of time that they're spending on administrative functions, again, is there a way of
Get support people in place
yeah,
for that kind
yeah,
of stuff.
is there somebody else who can come in and help,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And anyways, so since the pandemic, they're saying that things are worse, and we know this. The morale is low. 74% say that. Stress levels, 70% say they're high. High workload, 69%. Work-life balance is poor, 54%. And the recognition of what they do is also poor. 46% say that.
Wow.
Miley, you take it away.
Can you read it?
I can hardly see it actually. Can you make it bigger?
No.
Why can't I see it? Let me see.
Okay, I can read it. I can
I
read it.
seriously can't see it.
No, I know. It depends on how big it is for you. Management issues. Yikes. So only 19% of healthcare workers agree that they would feel comfortable expressing the concerns they have about the state of healthcare to management. That's not a lot. In other words, you have to zip it. That's not good. 77% do not feel that they know exactly who they can talk to about concerns about the Canadian healthcare system. Again, they have no voice, and that's not good. 72% feel that management would not take their concerns seriously.
What does it take?
Well, I mean, like they're on the line. Why wouldn't management take them seriously? 30% of healthcare workers describe how their direct leaders engage with and treat them as poor or very poor. 31% of nurses cite very poor versus 24% of doctors. So I guess they're not listened to. They're being harassed somehow. I don't know enough about it, but not good. And 47% of doctors and 31% of nurses cite very poor to poor access to mentors in the workplace, which is problematic. They don't learn.
Mm. Ay, ay, ay.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move this out of here.
Oh, wait, you know what I just did? I enlarged everything with my fingers. So if there's anything I can now see, it's crazy. Keep going.
You can now read the local resources. No.
I hope I can read something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, my dogs are barking,
Barking at the cat. Yes. Sorry, I can't. I just leave her out.
Michael's cat is trying to play with yours, apparently.
She's not the friendliest, but anyways.
So, anyways, all that to say that, yeah, we would like to continue this discussion for sure in person if possible, and with nurses and doctors. If you know any nurses or doctors that would be willing to continue this talk and have a chat with us, that would be great.
And what about nurse practitioners? I actually didn't realize they could do quite as much as they can do. They can do almost what a doctor can do. I was quite surprised.
Yeah, but we don't have enough. We
No,
have
we
a
don't.
few, but we don't have enough.
No, you're right. We don't.
So all these nurses that are graduating need to continue we need to entice them to continue their education, further their education to become nurse practitioners.
Well,
And stay in Cornwall.
Yep.
well, that is, anyways, we can continue talking about it. There's got to be ways of enticing people to Cornwall, which might include, possibly the city of Cornwall offering bonuses, offering things to help the community getting together and doing things to entice them. I mean, I was even thinking today of maybe we
GoFundMe.
well, you never know. Maybe we need a bloody GoFundMe for Cornwall healthcare.
Bring a clinic to Cornwall. Bring a walking clinic to Cornwall.
Or bring a couple of nurse practitioners. We need to alleviate the
Stress
pressure
on the
cooker.
doctors.
Yeah, we need to take the matter into our own hands as well.
Absolutely. It would be really nice, again, as I said, for people to contribute even after tonight and write down questions that you have, and write down suggestions that you have, and we can discuss them on another show.
Yeah.
Well, there's definitely going to be an extension to this show, that's for sure.
And there is a Facebook group for this show now. So you can look on Facebook for Community Action Talks, and you will see our group and just request to join, and we'll let you in. I don't even think there's a request to join right now. You can just join, like we're welcoming everyone.
Yeah.
So should we go over some local resources before we shut this down?
Yep.
Okay. Mylise, you can take it.
I can actually see that. Wow. Okay, so resources, virtual care, most is paid by OHIP, which is actually something I didn't even know. I know you've looked into all that more, Julia. I didn't even know OHIP covered it. So that's awesome. Virtual doctor appointments can prescribe some medications, order blood tests, refer to specialists, and order imaging tests.
Yeah.
So we have Tulip Health, tuliphealthcare.ca, or you can call 647-326-4285. And it's free Monday to Friday, 9 to 9, Saturday to Sunday, 9 to 8, and free with OHIP.
Yeah. Just to let everybody know, anybody who's watching, we will post all of this information uh, to the Facebook group.
Yeah.
To the
Okay,
So
group.
so
you
then
can
if you
get
want to, go in and look, it'll give you some information
right.
there. Keep
Perfect.
going.
So then we've got TELUS Health, MyCare.
Yeah.
You download the app and it's free again with OHIP.
Yeah.
TIA Health, online via tiahealth.com, free with OHIP. Ontario Telehealth, 866-797-0000. You can access it 24/7 and it gets you in touch with a nurse practitioner.
Yeah. Before we change slides, I want to say that this type of thing, if you're worried about something, especially like Ontario Telehealth, if you're worried
Mhm.
about something you're not sure, this is when you can talk. This is when, rather than going to emergency
Mhm.
or even going to a clinic and keeping that, bottleneck, try using some of these services first.
Yep.
Yes. And I want to add that so they're all similar services, except that, for example, TELUS Health, you can use it only on an app. So you have to download an app on your phone and you can only use it from your phone. TIA Health, however, you can use it from a computer. So if you
Okay.
only have a computer, then TIA Health would be your best
Yeah.
bet. There's also Maple, but I mean, just do
Yeah.
a search in Google, see a virtual doctor in Ontario, and it'll bring you all the
Well,
services that you can
put it.
find.
I'll note down to put in the information from Maple as well. But
Yeah.
I used Tulip Health, and I thought that they were really very good.
Yeah.
Very good.
And
They got,
usually you can get an appointment like the next day or the day
and if
after.
it's
It's
that's the
usually
next day, or if
pretty quick.
even if it's if it's when I had shingles and I thought I had that, I had an appointment within hours.
There you
Wow.
go.
So it's
Good.
worth it.
Yep.
Mhm.
Absolutely. And you're doing your part in leaving the ER for ER purposes. So
And the same
that's
thing, even with walk-in clinics. If you can, rather than, if you absolutely feel that you need to be seen by a doctor, it's one thing, but there's a lot of stuff that going to telemedicine, you don't have to leave. You're not waiting outside in the bloody cold.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I
So
mean, especially if you've got a rash or something like that, it's easy to just show it over the screen or take a picture or
yeah,
something
I'm
like
going to
that.
make one comment, is that if you're using these services, it's important to even with them, to use them properly. So I would suggest that you write down what
Yep.
your problems are, what your symptoms are, how long you've had them,
Mhm.
and if you have anything visual, a rash or whatever, you can take a picture, and often you can upload it to them so they can look at it.
Yep.
yeah, and they see you on video as well. So
Yeah.
they can make an assessment. Like they'll say, okay, well, the patient is not in distress, they're not having difficulty breathing. They can,
Yeah.
they can make some assessment of
Mhm.
your health.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so next slide.
So we've got other resources. Ada.com, Ada Symptom Checker, and that's a cell phone app.
Yeah. I Julia
I
mentioned,
don't know, I'm always reluctant on these symptom checkers and
Well,
stuff.
it doesn't replace a doctor, but it can
No.
give you an idea, of
What it could be?
yeah, what it could be. And then, you can make an informed decision as to, okay, well, do I need to go see a doctor or am I okay?
yeah. Yeah.
So,
Mhm.
pearl.com is
Yeah.
is a little bit like Ada, but like a step further. So pearl.com is a service that actually has doctors answering questions. So you can type a question in a chat box, and
Okay.
the doctor will ask you the details, and then they will tell you, okay, well, no, don't wait, you got to go see an emergency. And you can upload pictures there too. So the only difference is that
You
uh,
pay for that one.
you pay for that one, and the doctor is answering on chat, so it's not a virtual consult.
Okay.
Yeah. We put in also Ontario Health Mental Health. I didn't vet them because, but I know that you can call them and see what they can do for you if you're having mental health problems.
Mm-hmm.
And then we also put in, we'll put in more for mental health because I believe we have more information. We'll have to upload it later on.
Mhm.
And Healthcare Connect, to find a family doctor or nurse practitioner, is 1-800-445-1822. Again, it'll be on the website or on Facebook, the Facebook page.
Right.
So our clinics that we have left, we have Pitt Street Clinic, 1331 Pitt Street. It's a walk-in clinic and covered by OHIP. From here to there, medical concierge that Julia had mentioned. I didn't even know about that. That's really important. That's at Walmart. It's 613-703-7373. And so it says
There is a
OHIP or
fee.
fees.
There
Okay.
is a fee for this one. It's $16.
Okay.
But it's well worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. If you've got a nurse there that can actually listen to your heart or listen to whatever,
Yeah.
that's wonderful.
And then if you're
Health,
rich,
then you can go to Exact Health Ottawa, 613-216-3932, which has a $3,500 yearly fee plus OHIP.
I put that in. I think it's plus OHIP. I'm not
Plus OHIP.
positive. They'd have to check it out.
Yeah. And you can see a doctor the same day. The website is exacthealth.ca. But like Louise says, you need to verify
You
the
need to
costs as
verify
well.
costs, yeah, because there's a membership fee, but then they have stuff. If you don't have an OHIP card, there's additional fees, and it's
Oh,
this is one that I would say might be very good. Read the small print,
yeah.
right?
yeah, because if you need, for example, if you need imaging, then they would refer you to OHIP. Like you would have to go through OHIP for that, or you could go private if you
Yeah.
want to pay some more. and not wait, because they can get you your imaging the very next day if you pay for it.
Oh yeah, but
Yeah, but you're
Oh,
saying
to be
if
rich.
you pay for it, so you would have to pay for that out of your own pocket, right?
Yes, yes.
Mhm,
well,
exactly.
listen, I have a friend of mine in Quebec, near Montreal, and they've paid for a private clinic, not Exact Health level, but something like that, where they can sort of see somebody, not necessarily not as quickly, but they can see somebody, but you're paying full price for your tests. Very expensive.
Yeah, it would be.
Mhm.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we circled around everything for tonight. I don't think I have anything else left.
Yeah,
No.
though that last segment was very important, especially with all the virtual
Yeah, no, a
virtual
lot of people are
options.
still not aware that you can see a doctor on your
I
computer
wasn't.
or on your phone, and it's so yeah, I think it's primordial in the future of healthcare. Like you know.
I know I have a little quick story too, because again, not plugging the healthcare system. Many years ago, I was outside, had a drink, and gulped it down, and then all of a sudden I could feel something stinging me all the way down. I had swallowed a wasp, right?
Oh boy.
Yeah, and it was the worst feeling because you can feel it stinging, but there's nothing you can do. So like instead of running to the hospital, which somebody people might have done, I actually called somebody to see what I should do instead of going and sitting in AR for 12 hours or so. And they told me right off the bat, in the next 15 minutes, if you can't breathe, you have to go in. If not, there's nothing you can do. You just have to wait until it subsides. So again, instead of sitting and finding that out, I ended up calling. So that
Yeah.
was the advice.
Well, I think that in the fact, if you do call, okay, that will alleviate the stress,
It did.
which makes you also feel better. You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, it really did, because I'm like, oh my God, what do I do? you know.
Yeah.
Especially when you're a hypochondriac.
Now, see, I'm not, but
No, me
But I
neither.
am.
I'm
So-
not going to say who is here.
But I want to say I'm very happy because I had to go to the emergency room over the weekend for a legitimate reason, not hypochondria. And I was pleased to see that they were fully staffed. There's new doctors on staff. There's a lot of nurses, and it was running
That's good.
smoothly. And yeah, it was encouraging to see that, which means that people are also doing their part and not going when they don't need to, so which
Yeah.
is crucial.
It is
Well,
crucial.
I just is kind of starting to worry me because again, winter's coming. We're going to get the flu. COVID is rearing its ugly head again, and there's a few other things too. So how
Yeah.
is it?
Did you
gonna all
get your
pan
flu
out?
shot? Did you
I
get
did.
your flu shot? I got my flu shot. That's another
I'm-
way you can keep the ER empty.
No, it is.
Yeah.
Anyways, okay, I'm not gonna go
Okay.
there.
I got to tell you, when I worked at Astro Printing for 20 years. There was one person that got the flu shot, and he was the only one that ever got the flu. So that really turned me off the flu shot. I'm sorry, but it just didn't seem right to me.
Oy. Okay, so hopefully we can have another chat about healthcare in the near future. 2 weeks from now, we're going to be having a chat about
Housing
housing.
and homelessness on the 24th.
Yeah.
So join us on the 24th at 7 p.m.
And for people who are watching this, if you have questions, issues, experiences, and suggestions, please get involved.
Get involved,
Okay.
join our Facebook
Yeah.
group, and
Yeah.
we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Yes.
Have a good evening. Bye
Thank
for
you
now.
very much.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.